After saying that, I hung up the phone directly. Then, I blocked Steven's number right away. I was completely done with this man. Not only was I done, but I was also extremely disappointed in him. I never expected that a few days later, the Cooper family came to the company again. This time, Giselle came with her father. Steven was also with them. When Steven looked at me, there was a complicated look in his eyes. Giselle, on the other hand, was full of hatred. Mr. Cooper looked at me and said with a smile, "You must be Miss Cherry. I'm an old friend of your father's." I smiled but didn't say anything. That's how the people from the Cooper family always talked. Giselle even said she was my best friend. Seeing that I didn't answer, Mr. Cooper smiled awkwardly and said, "Miss Cherry, I just found out about what happened between Steven and you. Our Giselle liked Steven so much that she accidentally took him away from you. If this is the reason why our cooperation can't continue, we're willing to let Giselle divorce Steven," he said, looking at me. Hearing his words, I was stunned. I never thought about getting back with Steven. Besides, this scumbag was a perfect match for the Cooper family. I quickly shook my head and said, "No need. There's nothing between me and Steven. I couldn't wait to have Steven far away from me." Hearing my words, Mr. Cooper was stunned. He looked at me and said, "Then, Miss Cherry, about the cooperation between our two families? I'm sorry, but the cooperation between our two families really can't continue," I said, looking at Mr. Cooper. "After all, we can definitely find better partners." After I said that, Mr. Cooper's face turned ugly. He stood up, picked up his cane, and hit Steven with it. Steven let out a scream of pain and fell to the ground. Then, he kept hitting Steven with the cane in front of me. "I'll teach you, you useless fool, for offending Miss Cherry." As he hit, he looked at me. Seeing my cold expression, he got anxious. I knew that Mr. Cooper thought that hitting Steven in front of me might make me feel sorry for him, but how could I feel sorry for such a man? Giselle, on the other hand, was so distressed that her face was distorted. "Mr. Cooper, if you want to teach your son-in-law a lesson, go home and do it. Our company is not the place for you to hit people," I said calmly. Hearing my words, Mr. Cooper's face became even uglier. He had no choice but to stand up and take Steven away. Before leaving, Steven gave me a pleading look. I pretended not to see it. I had no interest in Steven now. That night, I received a call from an unknown number. It was a friend of Steven's. "Sister-in-law, come and see Steven. He was beaten up badly by the Cooper family and he's in the hospital." "Sister-in-law, I know you still care about Steven. Hurry up and come," the friend said on the phone. Hearing this, I smiled and said, "Well, I wish him a speedy recovery." After saying that, I was about to hang up, but the person on the other end of the phone asked loudly, "Cherry, what do you mean? Steven was beaten up like this because of you. Are you just going to do nothing?" Hearing the voice on the phone, I said coldly, "What does he have to do with me? His wife is Giselle, not me, right? But you can't just ignore it. Steven has loved you for so many years. There must still be feelings between you two." Hearing Steven's friend's words, I smiled and said, "Since you knew about us for so many years, you didn't say that when you advised me to give up on him." My words silenced the voice on the other end of the phone. I smiled and hung up. Steven regretted it. I knew that he called me almost every day. Every time I saw it was Steven calling, I blocked the number. I don't know how many numbers he changed. Anyway, finally, I was left in peace. Steven was long gone from my life. As for the Cooper family, after losing our big client, their debt crisis really exploded. Mr. Cooper desperately looked for investors, but no one wanted to cooperate with the Cooper family anymore. Their family was almost bankrupt. Not long after Steven was discharged from the hospital, Giselle took him back to the Cooper family. When Mr. Cooper saw Steven, he got so angry that he picked up his cane and beat Steven back into the hospital again. This time, the injury was even more serious. Giselle couldn't bear it and tried desperately to stop Mr. Cooper, but in the chaos, Mr. Cooper pushed Giselle to the ground. Her stomach hit the table, and she immediately had a massive hemorrhage. She lost the baby. Steven's friend called me again, begging me to save Steven. "Sister-in-law, if you don't help, Steven will be beaten to death by the Cooper family." Hearing the voice on the phone, I said with a smile, "That would be great. Then he won't bother me anymore." After saying that, I hung up. Giselle lost her baby. The Cooper family vented all their anger on Steven. I heard that Steven was still in the hospital when he was taken back to the Cooper family overnight and was severely beaten. In the end, due to the extremely serious injuries, he was beaten to death. When Mr. Cooper realized that he had really killed someone, he panicked and fled overseas overnight. As for Giselle, after learning that her husband died and she lost her baby, she went crazy. She was sent to the mental hospital that same day. The last call I received was from Steven's parents. A few years ago, I had met them. At that time, Steven took me back to his home once. He said he would love me for a lifetime and even joked that if he ever stopped loving me, he would come to a bad end. Now, his joke had come true. On the phone, Steven's mother cried and said she was sorry to me. She never expected that Steven would end up like this. She said that when Steven said he wanted to break up with me and marry Giselle, they had opposed it, but Steven insisted. I didn't comfort her. I just told her that it was long over between me and Steven. Besides, I was extremely glad that I didn't marry Steven. They took Steven's body away. As for Giselle, they didn't care about her. The Cooper family went bankrupt overnight. Their company was sold to pay off the debts. But even so, it wasn't enough. Mr. Cooper owed a lot of money. After selling their company, they still owed a lot. A few months later, I gradually got familiar with the company's business and started to take over most of my father's business. One day, my father told me that Mr. Cooper was beaten to death overseas. He told me that the creditors of the Cooper family found Mr. Cooper overseas. They forced him to pay back the money, but he couldn't come up with that much. In the end, a group of people went crazy and beat him to death. I was a bit surprised when I heard my father say that, but then again, it was normal. He killed Steven, and then he was killed. Maybe this was karma.